Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to Ocala Talks. I'm your host, Tom Schmitz, coming to you from the studios of WOCA Radio, just off the runway at the Ocala International Airport in the Brick City, beautiful Ocala, Florida. Overcast day today. Going to be warm, though, middle 70s. So the weather's cooperating. Hey, somebody else that's cooperating this on today is Galen Unall from Live South. He joins us. He's back from the dregs of illness. Galen, good morning, and how do you feel, sir?
I feel okay. My voice doesn't, but yeah, we'll see how long I can go.
Well, you know, you're a trooper, so I'm sure you'll go as long as you can.
Yeah, I don't know how long that is, but let's see what we got.
So we have not talked at all this week. I've left this discussion until you got on the radio, so we will start with it. We've not discussed at all this weekend. The bowl games that took place Friday afternoon and Friday evening.
Right.
The University of Alabama, the University of Cincinnati, and the excuse me, you got to bear with me with coughing too. I'm catching a little bit of something. I don't know what it is. And then you had the University of Georgia and the University of Michigan. One game we got right. One game you missed miserably.
Yeah, Michigan didn't play well at all.
Egg laid.
Oh yeah, and they made Georgia look like it was a high potent offense. They couldn't run the ball. They didn't even try to run the ball. They got down early. It was over.
The problem with Michigan is they played so badly that they made Georgia look so good that Georgia opens the national championship as the favorite.
Yeah, I saw that. And again, I know you were worried all Cincinnati is going to act like they don't belong. No, Michigan.
They played a very good game. Michigan didn't act like they didn't belong. Yeah.
Yeah, Alabama is just so explosive. They're just so explosive. And it seems like they just find wide receivers and running backs. And their quarterback, I'm so impressed with him. So, Alabama, I'll take Alabama every day.
Well,
I think Alabama beats Georgia 9 out of 10 times. Heads up.
Somebody made the analogy yesterday, and I thought it was a great analogy. They go, this Alabama-Georgia game, people are saying, "Oh, Georgia will get them this time. Second time, they'll get them." And Vegas thing, And the guy goes, there was a bully on our schoolyard named Big Larry, and Big Larry beat me up once, and he beat me pretty good. He whooped me pretty good, and I thought I was a tough guy, but he whooped me pretty good. I promise you, I didn't go 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and say, "You know what, Larry? Next time I'm going to whoop you." And that's exactly what Georgia's doing. Georgia got beat up by the bully on the block, and now 3 weeks later, after a good showing against Michigan, they're all going, "Yeah, bring on Alabama. It won't happen a second time." Nobody's ever told the bully, "Yeah, hey, I'll meet you on the schoolyard. You beat me up the first time, but it won't happen the second time." Nobody's ever said that.
But it's the only way they're going to win that, though, right? They have to go in because, again, I'm a big believer that if you believe you're going to lose before the game starts, you're going to lose.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right? You have to believe in yourself. And is that false bravado? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But what they're going to try to do is control it, right? If they could control the ball like they did against Michigan, they got a chance. Bennett played well, too. And if Bennett plays that well, then they got a chance.
Well, if Bennett plays that well, they do have a chance. And they were getting pressure on the Minnesota quarterback. On the Michigan quarterback. If you remember 3 weeks ago, they got no pressure on the Heisman Trophy winner. None at all.
Well, Cincinnati's got a better, a pretty good defensive front themselves. They didn't get within 10 yards of the Heisman Trophy winner.
They certainly did not. And by the way, I am now of the belief that Cincinnati belonged there. They actually, they took the punch from Alabama right in the mouth, down 7-0. And that game, yes, it was never in doubt. Alabama was the better football team, but Cincinnati, and there's no moral victories in football, I know that, but Cincinnati showed very well for itself and for the non-Power 5 conference.
Well, they didn't quit. And you could argue Michigan quit.
Yes.
No, I thought that was a better game of the two. And I thought the quarterback for Cincinnati didn't play all that great. I don't think he helped himself and with his stack draft stock. Let's see. Again, I thought that both games were. I was really excited about the Georgia-Michigan game. I'm like, this is going to be a battle. Nope.
No, Georgia just ran out early, punched her in the mouth early, and just took everything out of Michigan's sails. Everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it wasn't like it was a home game for Georgia. There was a bunch of Michigan fans there and everything. So it was truly a neutral field site, and Michigan got boat raced.
Yeah, there are a lot more Michigan fans there too than Georgia fans. But just like every other coach who's been to one of those Final Four games, I know Harbaugh will get a huge extension, and people will fall in love with him, and he'll be fired in 3 years.
As long as he beats Ohio State from now going forward, he'll be in good shape.
Oh, he only has to beat him half, right? He only has to beat him 50%. Bo Schembechler was there for how long?
Schembechler was there for 20 years?
Something like that?
Yeah.
He never won a national title.
No. National titles aren't how Michigan gauges their beating Michigan State and beating Ohio State.
Right.
That's much more important to the Michigan fan base than beating Georgia and advancing to the national title game. I promise you.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Also, over the weekend, we saw a mental breakdown take place. That's the only thing you can call it. I know people will say that he quit and he's a basket case and he's terrible for his team and everything. But I know a lot about mental illness and everything. I take medication for a mental illness every day of the week. My mother was a paranoid schizophrenic. I know some things about mental breakdowns, and human beings are just not geared to act the way Antonio Brown acted halfway through the third quarter. Yes, did he quit on his team? 100%. Did he have a blow up with Bruce Arians and storm off the field? 100%. But the way he left the field and the way he was shirtless and looking for crowd adoration and everything to try to balance out what had just happened and everything, I'm telling you, this is a guy that's got issues that go much deeper than just being a prima donna on the football field.
Well, I mean, he's talked about it, right? And I mean, he's done some things in his past. A lot of people, this is CT. Maybe, I don't know, but I think he's been a troubled kid his whole life. And I think Brady said it best, right? There's been no bigger champion for Antonio Brown, and maybe in his life, than Tom Brady. And Tom Brady's just like, look, I love the guy. I just hope he gets the help that he needs. And I think that's really, if you're a Bucs fan, as I am, it's really that's the you could say right now. And then there's reports coming out that he was injured and he didn't want to play anymore. And then the coaches said, well, we're telling you to take the field. If you don't take the field, you're not part of that team. I find that really difficult to believe, that a coach would say, look, you're healthy enough to play. That's not the way the NFL works anymore. There's a lot to this story. It's just getting started, but the bottom line is Antonio Brown will not play in the NFL again.
No, he's done as an NFL football player. But somebody brought up an interesting point. I was at the Ocala Golf Club playing golf on Monday, and somebody brought up a very interesting point about that situation. They go, that guy hadn't really been right since the Burfict hit. And I'd forgot about the Burfict hit. But they were like, if you go back and look, and they did, they went back and said they looked and they cited, and I went back and looked, and sure enough, they were right. Almost all of his, now there were some problems beforehand, but a lot of these, like, mental issues or these blow-ups that you see him having and everything, all of them have come after he was just obliterated by Burfict in the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game. You remember the hit. I mean, as soon as he got hit, his arms went stiff. He was unconscious. He laid prone on the field for a very long time. And
the hit that changed the NFL.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's the hit that changed the NFL. And a lot, the guy that I was playing golf with, he goes, look back at it. From that perfect hit on, he was good in Pittsburgh. He wasn't a problematic guy in Pittsburgh and all. After the perfect hit is when all this, a lot of this started. I mean, he did have a rough childhood and everything, but a lot of this came after the perfect hit, and that leads towards the CTE thing. And there's no way to know if he has CTE or not until after he's dead and they do an autopsy and look at his brain. But, I went back and looked, and a lot of his stuff, if you go back and look, a lot of his transgressions happened after the perfect hit.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, let's be clear. On the field, he was the Bucs best wide receiver.
Period.
I mean, the guy can catch, he can run, he can throw. You know why? That's because that's one of those naturalistic instincts for him. He doesn't have to think. It's probably where he feels the best about himself in his life, and he can play. But it's kind of shocking the behavior. So, and I think it just becomes all muscle memory once he gets on the field. And I think you're right. The decision making, that perfect hit. I hadn't thought about that until you mentioned it.
I hadn't either. I had not thought about it either.
I remember when it happened. I'm like, that's one of those hits that makes me question why I watch football. Right? And
I'm a guy who
you watch that, man, that to me is not football. I remember there was a lot of talk. Oh, it was a clean hit.
No, it was not.
There was nothing clean. There was nothing clean about it. I think it was intentionally dirty.
Of course it was.
And they're like, oh, well, their job is to inflict pain. No, it isn't. I've talked to a lot of football players. No football player says that.
Look,
now, they want to embarrass you. They want to decleat you. They want to hurt you. That's a little different than what perfect did. Look, I played middle linebacker all my life, okay, and wedge buster. Two of the most violent positions on the football team. Can we agree on that? Wedge buster and middle linebacker. It's kind of violent, those two areas. Yeah.
I was always coached. You go down, you hit cleanly, you drive through the player. You take your shoulder, you take your face mask, put it in his chest, or you take your shoulder and you drive through him, you take him to the ground, and you drive through them. Never was I coached that you try to decapitate somebody. Never was I coached that you launch yourself like a torpedo into another man's head and try to knock him unconscious so he leaves the field. Now, were we coached up that if your hit was solid and hard and you were able to get the starter out, the second team guy in there, that wasn't a bad thing? No, that was a good thing because the guy that was starting for a reason. But you didn't do it maliciously. You didn't purposely go out to try to injure people. You didn't purposely go out and say, I'm going to knock that guy so he can't remember anything tomorrow. That's not football.
That's right. Have you seen the Man in the Arena, the Tom Brady thing on ESPN Plus?
I've seen a little bit of it.
Oh, boy, is it good.
But
I know we need to take a break, but there's a scene in there that I with the Falcons game, and he talked about that.
It's the Super Bowl that the Falcons were up by 25 points? Yeah, I know.
He talked about that game for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's another reason I'm probably not going to watch all of it.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. And the way he viewed that game, I think you'd find it interesting.
But I'm sure I would. I'm sure, yeah. The Falcons losing by 25. Yeah, sure, yeah. But before we go to break, I think that the NFL needs to take a look. And they're never going to let him, but he's never going to sign for another team. Antonio Brown's never signed for another team.
Never, I guess.
Well, I guess never, but
never.
I would be highly surprised if he signed with another NFL team. But right. I'd forgot just like you about the perfect hit until somebody brought it up. And it correlates and makes a lot of sense. And that kind of hit, that's why Burfict's not in the league anymore, because he was he made Bill Romanowski look like a good guy.
Yeah, there's some truth behind that.
So we got to take a break. We'll come back more with Galen Unaw after this timeout. This is Ocala Talks on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Are you wasting time boxing up packages and going to the post office or the UPS store? Are you tired of not knowing what you'll pay when you get there? Just Ship offers pickup service and flat rate packaging and postage rates, which takes the guesswork out of shipping while saving you time and money. So quit wasting valuable time and money. Call or text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention, and God bless America.
You're having another great day and you have good taste tuning into WOCA The Source with Ocala Talks and Tom Schmitz. Well, 1 out of 2 isn't bad.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On a Wednesday, Galen Unall from Life South joins us, as he does almost every day. He's been a little under the weather, but he's a trooper. He's gutting it out today. We're still good, Galen?
I'm trying, man. I'm trying my best.
Gutting it out.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I did test positive for COVID. So, yeah, I didn't on, when was that? Wednesday or whatever? I don't remember. But, yeah, I did test positive. My wife's like, my wife tested positive at work, and she's like, we're going to do this again. And I did test positive. So, it's just a sore throat. My son got it. Wife got it. My wife bounced back in about 3 days. My son bounced back in about 24 hours. For me, it's just lingering in my throat because my throat is always my weak spot. Whenever I get sick, it goes to my throat. So just hang it on.
So COVID's like a pit bull, then it goes right for the throat.
Exactly.
So I guess the NFL picture's a little clearer now, but I looked at the power rankings put out by CBS Sports and the power rankings put out by ESPN and the power rankings put out by Bleacher Report, and you're not going to like this, Galen. The number one ranked team, the team that they think is the team to beat, all three of them agree. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Well, he's at home, right? I mean, he's at home.
Yeah, all through the playoffs.
Last year,
you got to go to Lambeau to get to the Super Bowl.
I'm a huge Bucs fan, and I love Tom Brady. I just think it's an absolute privilege for us to be able to watch this guy, and I mean that. I mean, there are few guys that you can look at while they're playing and go, in 30 years you're going to be seeing when watching Tom Brady. It's just incredible, and Tom Brady is definitely that guy. That throw he made to win the game against the Jets, we could argue whether they were in that position. But that throw he made to the fifth-string wide receiver. I mean, you and I could have caught that ball.
By the way,
you literally put your hands up and it just stuck to it.
By the way, did anybody watching that football game with 2 minutes and 12 seconds to go, no timeouts for Tampa Bay? My buddies, we were all watching the game. They were like, "No, there's no timeouts." I was like, 2-minute warning. That's a timeout. And then was anybody in that stadium, even Jet fans, people watching everywhere, everybody knew Tampa Bay was winning that football game.
No, and going back to the man in the arena, and it's incredibly well done. So during the Falcons game, and I did not realize this, he alludes to the fact that he got concussed in the fourth quarter. And he says, I don't really remember anything. I just remember going through the motions, and my muscle memory took over, and we were able to win that game.
Yeah, I watched all of it. I know they were able to win the game.
Well, but I didn't know he was concussed.
Well, that doesn't make it any better. That makes it even more aggravating for me that a concussed quarterback beat the Falcons. That even makes it worse. Thanks, Galen. If my life could with my Falcon fandom could not get any worse, you just made. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Oh man, he talked about he talks about the Deflategate in there, and it's. I found it. I was like, oh, this is pretty insightful.
He is. Somebody made the analogy yesterday that he is for our generation what Johnny Unitas was for our grandfather's generation.
Yeah, I think he's bigger.
No.
He's in a world that's a whole lot more crowded.
Right, but generation-wise, Johnny Unitas was that quarterback that was head and shoulders above everybody.
Sure.
And, there was Johnny Unitas and the rest of the NFL. Well, there's Tom Brady and the rest of the NFL. No matter how bad Aaron Rodgers hates it, it's Tom Brady and the rest of the NFL.
Yeah. And he just, it doesn't matter who he's got around.
No. He's only had one stud wide receiver until he got to Tampa. The only time he had a stud wide receiver was Randy Moss. And that year they went undefeated. That year they went undefeated in the regular season.
Oh man, he talks about that season a lot.
Yeah, that had to be a disappointing season. That had to be disappointing to lose that Super Bowl.
He never looked at it that way. He said and Michael Strahan's on it at the same time, talking about it from his viewpoint. And he said, when we played them in the regular season, we realized our front line was much more athletic than their O-line. And we knew we could disturb them. And that's what they did.
Yeah, and it still took a amazing catch and everything to win that football game.
Guy's famous and does speeches because of the ball stuck to his helmet.
Because the ball stuck to his helmet. Galen, you gonna stick around for a while, or you got to go?
I'm gonna give it my shot.
Well, you're a trooper.
Give it a shot.
You're a trooper. You're a trooper. Because there's some things that excuse me. There's some things that aren't sports related that I want to talk to you about as well. And there's more that has come out now about shots, and there's also a couple things that happened in Florida over the weekend that I find quite amazing. We'll talk about all of those. This is Ocala Talks. Galen Unall from Life South joins us every day, thanks to the good folks at Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, Penn Flooring, and Just Shipped. Galen Unall recovering from COVID, being a trooper, letting his voice go as long as it can go. So we'll have him a few more minutes. Coming up at 9:05, it's Robert Colin from On Top of the World. I'm sure he'll have a fantastic guest with him today. So we still have that to look forward to. Plus the county commission, they've approved another development. We'll talk about that later in the show. But there is another housing development that has been approved by the Marion County Commission. And we need those kind of things in our community, as Kevin Shealy from the CEP said last week, we're in a housing shortage. And so these things aren't going to take care of the housing shortage now. They're going to take care of the housing shortage 4 or 5 years down the road, but it has to be done. We'll take a break. We'll be right back on Ocala Talks, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport. This is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News.
Michigan set a pandemic record Monday with 96 children hospitalized with COVID-19. Chief Medical Executive Dr. Natasha Bagdasarian spoke to WXYZ.
Our hospitals are completely overwhelmed. Our hospitals are struggling. We've had to ask for federal assistance. We're in a bad place.
The previous pandemic high for pediatric hospitalizations in Michigan was 71. The CDC recommended on Tuesday that Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine recipients get a booster dose 5 months after their second shot instead of the previously approved 6 months. The agency endorsed the shorter period after the FDA authorized the reduced timeline on Monday for those who received the Pfizer vaccine. Facebook has restored access to an advertising account linked to the conservative children's book publisher Heroes of Liberty after the lockout sparked outcry on social media. This is USA Radio News.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold